Hi, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Today, we have a special guest with us, Vikram Mehta, who is the founder and CEO for sci-fi.io. I would let him introduce and talk about himself more because I've been reading about it and there's so much to talk about. So I will let him give his introduction. Over to you, Vikram.
Thanks, Vanzana. Hello, everyone. And I think before I start, let me just sort of start by saying, uh, Vandana, like it's great what we've seen you do for the community, and I think I really appreciate that. It's giving back to the infosec community is always something that I think all senior leaders have always sort of wanted to do. And I think I'm sure there are a lot of the young generation out there in the infosec community really look up to, I think, a lot of these efforts. And thanks for that, and thanks for the introduction as well. Uh, so I think let me just start by saying, like we're a cloud security product company, and this really sort of began uh, a little earlier this year. And things have been interesting, things have been intense. We've always wanted to solve uh, a real problem out there today, and I think this sort of the idea sort of is not really, I would say, an idea that's unique or anything of that sort, but it was just a problem out there that had to be solved of. And it's not really a new idea or anything of that sort, but I think just by the kind of conversations that we had with fellow CISOs across the last few months or even a couple of years, thanks to my previous stint back at the Make My Trip group, um, we just sort of got to understand that everyone's moving to the cloud, and while that is happening, right? So that's like a lot of digital transformation, a lot of moving parts. At the same time, it's important for a security function to keep up to speed with the kind of transformation that's going on. And the sense that I started to get was, it's security in the cloud is not the same or cannot be dealt with the same, kind of manner as it was on-prem. And that's the challenge today. So that's where, this entire thought process or idea came in. So how can we make cloud security easier, more sustainable, and comprehensive? So I think with these, three, key focus areas, we started thinking about, a startup. It wasn't an easy decision, given the fact that, like, it was it was a good job with a great organization, and a lot of interesting things that used to keep happening all the time. Um, but even back at Make My Trip, we were always building, even security products. So I think we just, I guess, there was this urge to take this to the next level, to see if we can build a product security company. And I think that's where we I sort of decided to give this a shot before the rest of my hair turn gray as well. So I think that's how this all came about.
Very interesting. And as we were discussing offline, that this past year and a half has given us a lot of time to prepare ourselves at what we really want to do. And especially when you started the whole journey in 2005, that's very inspiring. And I know a lot of people want to do it, but then they need courage to do it. And they need to hear from the leaders like you that, yes, they can do it too. There's one thing that I do want to know. How does your typical day look like, especially when you started your entrepreneur journey? And it is the initial phase. So there's so much that you need to do. So how exactly your typical day looks like?
Absolutely. So I think, as you said, being early stage, I think it's a lot of focus on the product, trying to make sure that we are, getting things right, doing it, probably as good, or solving problems better than, or rather, solving for these problems that matter, rather than just building another, product out there. And so I think a significant portion of my time, probably half or more than it, at this stage goes into the product. And making sure we are building the right thing and solving the right kind of problems. The remaining time goes into activities like market reach or customer interactions, customer success, and so on. Aside from let's say managing the team or other things that sort of go on in our startup ecosystem. But I think apart from all of this, uh, you know uh, it's also important to take a step back, to take a pause uh, at different points in time to just make sure that you review a strategy and you're in line with your vision, right? So if your vision is let's say building a scalable and sustainable security product, it's important to make sure that the actions that you're taking on a day-to-day basis align with that strategy in mind, because the way things sort of pan out, there's always so much happening. Things are always on fire. It's easy to lose focus. So I think some part of my time off and on sort of goes into reviewing that strategy and making sure we're still pretty much on track and not derailed from it. Um, Apart from that, I think we work hard, we party hard. It's time. It's also important to, or we rather do find it necessary to take a break when it's things. It's not always necessary to burn the midnight oil all the time. A startup is not about although it's we call it a startup ecosystem, but it's not always a few months or a year. It's years, right? If you're doing this seriously, it's a couple of nights is not going to solve for anything, right? It has to be done on a repeatable and long-term sustainable basis. So it's important you don't burn yourself out. It's important to save your energy. So it's crucial to take out that kind of time, take a break when things are not so crazy. uh, yeah, I think that's how a typical day or week would look like for us.
Yeah, okay. I think that's amazing. And one thing do want to understand when you're juggling with the entrepreneur journey. Sorry, I have to say something. Yeah, thank you so much for sharing those details. It is very, very important, as you mentioned, that we shouldn't be just burning the midnight oil, but spending time on ourselves as well, taking time off and understanding what more we can do rather than just burn yourself out. Now, while you're working as an entrepreneur, you're juggling between multiple roles, multiple responsibilities, you're wearing multiple hats. So, how do you balance that?
Um, so I think again, being early stage with a lean team, there's always a lot going on, right? It's not just about, although we are a product company, it's not just about building the product. There's also a lot of work that goes around in the ecosystem. So for example, legal contracts, HR, to compliances, and so on, right? And again, it's easy to sort of get distracted, and you might want to do everything yourself. It's not that you can't do everything yourself, but it's important to uh, just ensure that you find the right fit or the right place for a certain task to be accomplished, right? So if it is not your core, for instance, HR compliances is not our core, right? We're a product company at the end of the day. So outsource that, find people who can help you out. There are various, organizations out there that sort of do this as a service. So it's important to, focus on your core, and what is important to the organization. So I think while in the early stages you might have to do a lot yourself, like maybe I had to maintain accounts and review contracts, etc. But then there will come a time when you can actually pass this the responsibility off, and I think that's how one can manage or keep a balance between what is core and what is non-core. Yeah, I think that's how one can sort of deal with it.
Yeah. Now, there's another question that comes to my mind. Now, when you are outsourcing HR and other work, how much of an entrepreneurship is people management? Comes to my mind whenever I speak with any of the entrepreneur, because everyone has a different stake on that. And whether you work on your idea, whether you work on building up something, or you work on the people, like you work with the people. So how exactly it is for you?
So I think I would say, and I'm a firm believer of this, that an organization is made by its people, right? A team is made by its people. It's not just about getting a certain task done, getting a product out, etc. It is about the journey, right? And in terms of just like, and this is not just true for startups. It's about any organization, right? And when you're in any leadership role, or even managing a small team, it's about making sure that the team is engaged, right? The team feels responsible, right? There's adequate ownership given to the team. Talent today looks for, rather than just looking at the kind of work that they're doing, or let's say whether it's quality work or not. uh, they also find it they also find it important that there is a certain meaning to what they're doing, right? They have to have the sense of fulfillment. So I think making sure that that feeling exists and the talent remains motivated is I think key to people management, right? So one could have really cutting edge technology being used that might be extremely progressive in nature, etc. But then end of the day, if the employees don't feel uh, empowered enough, if they don't feel engaged enough, right, it doesn't really matter. And I think they'll probably be looking elsewhere in time to come. And I think that's now just talking a little bit about the startup ecosystem in that sense, right? It's even harder because the kind of competition out there in terms of the talent marketplace is cutthroat, right? So it becomes even more crucial for entrepreneurs to just make sure that their talent is extremely engaged, happy, motivated, and I think most importantly, uh, they feel that they own a significant piece, right? And this, what they're doing, means something more than just executing a certain task.
Totally agree with you that yes, it's not just executing the task, but understanding that this idea is meaningful and they're working on something new or something different. uh, this question is totally maybe personal to you, that how exactly you came up with the idea that yes, this is something that you have to do. You've been a CISO for a very long time, and how this idea came to you that yes, this is something which you want to do, or this is the time that you should start something of your own.
So to be very honest, this was not. I mean, this was the second idea. The first idea was royally thrashed by someone I know who's very close to me, and so it was just that we'd been building products, right? And that was something that I was personally very passionate about, right? And what I started to think was that there is a problem that needs to be solved today. And again, I'm talking about the other idea, not this one. But we knew there was a problem, right, that had to be or could be solved. And we were like we've sort of built platforms through a significant part of my career or our career, right? Why can't we do this? And the next natural question was one, validating whether that problem is real enough or not. Is the problem large enough or not? So that once the product is ready, you're not sitting around and trying to sell it. It actually does sell. So I think uh, probably getting that reality check, uh, along with just sort of trying to figure out what are the different problems to solve. That actually led to us actually narrowing down on a cloud security product. And I think bottom line is this is something that I've always been passionate about, and building platforms. And I think that's what brought about the entire thought process and decision. And finally, I think this is just something that I wanted to do before it's too late, and something that I would definitely not be all right regretting.
Now, while you're working on that idea, I'm sure there are some learnings that you've got. So, if you are sharing those learnings with your mentees or juniors or the people who are aspiring to start their own venture, what would be some of the lessons that you would like to impart based on your experience, your journey?
So I think probably one of the most important things, right, for for anyone out there working, whether it is a startup or an enterprise, right? Uh, you should I mean you should like what you do, right? And if you like what you do, you should do it with all your might and passion, right? I think there is no uh, there's no second thought on that at all, right? If you don't like what you do, no matter how much you get paid, no matter what kind of an organization you're working for, you will not have that sense of fulfillment at the end of the day, right? That's one. Second, I think take out time for yourself, right? I think there would definitely be instances where people work around the clock, 16, 20 hours a day, etc. But stuff like that is not sustainable, right? I think it's important to make sure that your uh, time with family, your time with yourself, your health, that has given equal, if not more, importance than your work, right? And last but not the least, I think be honest. I mean, just be honest, not just to yourself, right, but also to your organization, and I feel that kind of creates um, you know a relationship rather than just an employee an employee employer engagement, or yeah, I think it just goes way beyond uh, just um, just an employment contract at the end of the day.
Yeah, thank you so much. That's really, really amazing. And especially the points that you mentioned about being honest, not just with yourself, with the people around you, with the organization. And transparency is very, very important,
Absolutely.
or we'll lose it. Yeah,
Absolutely agree.
we're almost at the end. And I do wanted to ask you that anything that you wanted to share with people that people can refer or look at, any resource, could be YouTube video, could be any other article, blog, or some series that inspires you that people can actually look at.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think so. And I'll just share a little nugget before I break out what it exactly is. So I think like as you said, so I mean I've been in the enterprise space, like I've been a CISO for a significant part of the last decade or so, right? uh, Entrepreneurship, or starting up, is something that I'd never even thought of, like probably a couple of years, 2 3 years ago, right? So definitely I was not prepared. uh, and there is a lot to understand. It's not easy. It's not just about building a platform when you're in an enterprise. It's about what kind of a team, right? Should you have a co-founder? Should you not have a co-founder? Do you raise? Do you not raise funds? If you do raise, when do you raise? How much do you raise? What is your go-to-market strategy, and so on, right? I mean, there's so much more to it than just creating a platform that one could sell. So I think a few resources that or videos are very valuable to that understanding, at least for me. And I would refer to two videos, or rather two pieces of resources. So one of them is a I think a 45-minute long video by I think Paras, the CEO and founder of Wingify. All right. It's a very interesting video of he having an idea, starting up, completely bootstrapped, built an entire business from grounds up, right? And I like the way he talks about things at a ground level, and how they worked for him. Some things that did not work for him, right? The second is this video series by Ankur Warikoo, and it's I think it's an eight episode series, again about 40 45 minutes each, that talk about various stages of the startup journey, starting from an idea. How do you think of an idea? How do you choose the right idea from a few of them? How do you build a prototype? How do you create strategy, GTM, um, marketing, and so on? I think completely brilliant pieces of content by both these folks. I can't thank them enough, because I think that's what probably helped me a lot to just to sort of go back and think, rather than looking at loads and loads of resources. The internet is not it doesn't have any dearth of resources, but the way these guys put it together in like this just a few hours, and it's like a crash course in entrepreneurship, like right there for you. So yeah, I can't thank them enough.
Thank you so much, Vikram, for sharing the wonderful insights, and especially when you mentioned about Paras and Ankur. I'm a huge fan of Ankur, and I'm definitely going to check out what Paras has shared, and especially what that video talks about. Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for agreeing to be part of A Day in the Life of an Entrepreneur. Um, and when you said yes, I felt really good because this was the first time we were actually formally connecting for this. So thank you. Thanks for joining me.
Pleasure is all mine, Vandana, and thank you so much. A very insightful, series. The entire one. I've seen quite a few of these videos, and thanks a lot for having me here.
Thank you. And hope looking forward to meeting you soon in person.
Absolutely, likewise.